This is the Eve Switches by Mozano, and in collaboration with JWK. This is a linear switch coming in at $49 for 70 pieces. So how do they sound and feel? Let's find out. What is going on, guys? Ox here and welcome back to my channel. We are back finally with another JWK Switch review, and it's been a while since I covered or reviewed a JWK Switch, and to be honest, I kinda miss covering them. So we do have a fairly new switches here, or you can consider a switch that you might have never heard of. So this is the Eve Switches by the keyboard vendor Mozano. It's a linear switch and is manufactured by JWK. It's a 5-pin switches with a 48-gram actuation force and a 55-gram bottom out force. And it has that basic nylon top, nylon bottom housing, and of course palm stem switches. It seems like a typical JWK switch that we all know, but we'll see on the sound test. A quick background about the switches. So this is by Mozano, and they are a keyboard vendor based in Beijing, and the switches were made to match their own Domiki keycap set, which I'll also be making a review on it. And if you want to check out Mozano, all of their links would be on the description down below. And they also gave us a code to use for the purchase, so if you want to purchase the switches, use my code RX003 on the checkout for 20% off, and this only applies to the Eve switches and on the Domiki Die For Me set that we'll be using on the sound test. Again, it's on the description down below. And I also recommend checking out and joining Mozano's Discord server, as they are always active and answering your questions and updating orders. Like if you want to know the status of your order or an update on your shipping, just ask on their Discord server. I'll put the invite link on the description down below. The switches were sent for a review, but I wasn't paid to make the video, so of course I'll give you guys my honest opinion about the switches. So in today's video, it's going to be the usual, a stock versus lube comparison, a sound test comparison with other JWK switches, and of course a material breakdown of the switch. And if you want to hear my own thoughts and opinion about the switches, please do stick around at the end of the sound test. And speaking of sound test, let me give you guys a quick disclaimer that the sound and experience may vary depending on your keyboard build, meaning to say that it might sound and feel different for you. We will of course be using the Vega 65 with a polycarbonate plates, a PCB to plate foam, and one case foam. The switches already came in pre-factory lube, and the keycaps that was used on the sound test was a Domiki set. So with all of that out of the way, please do enjoy this sound test for the Eve switches. So that was the sound test for the Eve switches. Let me know what you think about them on the comment section down below. Would love to have a discussion with you guys, so feel free to write them on the comments. And before we talk about my own thoughts and opinion about the switches, you already know what's next. Let's break down the materials that was used on the switch. As you can see, this is a 5-pin switch and is using an MX style housing. So we have nylon for the top housing. We also have nylon on the bottom housing. And of course, we have POM on the stem. Lastly, the springs with a 48-gram actuation force and a 55-gram bottom out force. So that was the material breakdown on the Eve switches, and if you made it up to this point, I would like to say thank you for staying. And also let me remind you of my disclaimer that the sound and experience may vary depending on your keyboard build, so it might sound and feel different for you. Finally, let's all talk about my thoughts on the feel. So this came in pre-factory lube, which is like a love and hate for me, but I must say it's a bit consistent. It was smooth out of the box. I didn't feel any leaf crunch. I didn't also feel that plastic row feeling of a stock switch. It really feels like it was lubed already. I can say that the pre-factory lube can be better, and I think there are like 6 to 7 switches that has that mushy feeling like it was over lube, but overall it's not that bad. I mean, we all know that pre-factory lube is always inconsistent, but as far as I know, you can message the vendor Mozano directly when ordering the switches, and you can actually ask for them to deliver the switches unlubed. So let's just go back to the typing feel. As mentioned on my material breakdown, it has a 48-gram actuation force and a 55-gram bottom out force. And to be honest, I kind of wish that the actuation force is a bit more heavier than the 48 grams, but the 55-gram bottom out force, it's perfectly fine for me. So on paper, it's a decently weighted switches. It's not too light, it's not too heavy, it's just on the middle. But I think it feels like a typical JWK switch, and the closest thing that I can remember that feels like this, I think would be the mob switches. So let's move on to my thoughts on the sound. With the pre-factory lube, I didn't hear any leaf ping, or there were no scratchiness on the switches as well. In terms of the pitch or the sound, it's more on the deep clack side, which I don't mind because, you know, I really like clacky or high-pitched sounding switches, but those deep clacks seems to grow on me. But yeah, it sounds pretty decent, like a typical linear JWK switch, and keep in mind that I didn't lube over the pre-factory lube on the Soundtest. So overall, I like them. It's the JWK switch that we all know and love. Again, for me, for the sound and feel, it feels close to the mob switches. I can say it's a pretty good linear switch to pick up. The pre-factory lube isn't really that bad as I thought it will be, and to be honest, I'm still using them on stock, so it's still on the pre-factory lube, and I don't know if I should lube them in the future because I'm trying to break them in and see how it sounds. So again, I do have a 20% off code. If you want to try out the switches, just use my code RX003 on the checkout, and it only applies to the Eve switches and the Domiki Die For Me set. So it's gonna be on the description down below. So yeah, that is it for the video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the review. I really miss reviewing the JWK switches, so if you do enjoy the video, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, as it really helps out my channel. Let's aim for the usual 50 likes. I know we can do it. Again, thank you so much Mozano for sending them over. Don't forget to use my code RX003 for a 20% off on the Eve switches. So what's next? Well, I'll be reviewing the Domiki Die For Me set that goes along with the switches, so watch out for that. So don't forget to hit the like video, or hit the video, or hit the like on the video, share if you want, and of course, subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys on the next sound test. Peace.